I think I'm on. Yo, what's good, everybody? Man, there's been a lot happening. I haven't been uploading. I haven't been uploading. I said I would, and I haven't. And I got caught up in analysis paralysis, to be completely honest. Um, one of the things I realized, one of the things that made me want to just get on and start recording and just figure out, what it's going to look like is I realized uh, YouTube is a nearly it's it's a nearly limitless space, and it's ever expanding, like daily. It's expanding. And I realized I don't have to do one thing. I was doing some research today, and there's so many different channels. There's so many different niches of every community, and you just got to get out here. If you're entertaining or thought provoking or, offer some kind of value, then, why wouldn't, your channel take off? But that's not what this is about right now. I'm going to tell you right now, your boy has come across some junk on these YouTube streets. And listen, this, if you're coming across this channel, I want to make very clear, I'm not a red pill person, but boy, do I ever find this content very, very entertaining. It's let me know that I haven't made all bad decisions in my life. So, because I mean, legitimately, I'm going to show you some videos. Um, and some of these conversations are just terrible. They're absolutely terrible. And just being completely honest, I recognize, that we all have histories, and we all have we've made decisions and things like that. But I can tell you, I've made some pretty good decisions when it's come, as far as it relates to, dealing with certain kinds of women and, dodging bullets and, obviously those scares that we tend to have when we don't make the best decision on who we spend that quality time with. But the question, I started asking myself, is this topic what is the topic itself the thing that makes the conversation so messy? And I realize, I mean, I'm going to show you a comparison. I'm realize it's not. It This conversation is not about race. It's not about ethnicity. It's about values. Western values and what they mean and what freedom is and all that bull. But I'm be honest with you. I'm coming off. I'm getting my still getting my sea legs, if you will, as it pertains to becoming a content creator. And I'm not quite comfortable yet. I might do some things, kind of loosen up, but this first video I'm gonna show you is just wild. It is wild. It's Anton Daniels. Shout out to Anton Daniels, one of the content creators I've been tracking for some time now. And dude's excellent. Like, if you're not, I'm not gonna go into all that. Dude is an excellent content creator, businessman, family man. Several things that I align myself with. I don't always agree with him, but 99% of the time I do, because uh, some things are just basic. Some things are just basic. I know, we can make excuses and make these things complicated, but the truth is the truth, and we can't always look for ways around that. And I really appreciate the fact that Anton does that. Anton makes sure that we're not trying to uh, dodge the truth. And I'm going to swap over and get this video started. But you guys let me know what you think.
Why do you think they treated black people in particular the way that they did? It wasn't. Why do you think they treated black people in particular the way that they did? It wasn't.
Who was they?
It's the people you love so much. You
Asian
Hey, Sheena, don't listen.
I love.
You know who?
Listen, I'll be honest with you. There's a couple people on these panels that are absolutely nerve wracking. And it is a damn shame that Jazz Noel, shout out to Jazz Noel. First of all, the very first time I saw her on one of these panels, it was one of Anton's panels, and she looked crazy. She looked crazy, but it wasn't that she looked crazy because of her physical appearance. It was she looked crazy because of what she was saying, and it took me a minute. So I went to her IG, and it is a damn shame how beautiful this woman is, and she can sing. She can sing. Um, it's just crazy that her views are so ignorant, right? I dare to say uh, a very immature view on the world and people. But I'm telling you, if it wasn't for that, now don't get me wrong. I'm in a very happy relationship and I love my woman. But I'm just being honest. That woman is gorgeous, but she's a problem. She's she doesn't listen. I think her opinions are very immature for what seems to be her age, and baby don't listen. That's too bad because man, I'm not gonna say too much because my girls can watch this and give me a fucking problem. But let's get it cracking.
Listen. First of all,
Slaves
y'all
are not immigrants.
The fact that y'all even keep referring to yourselves as black is sad. It is.
You are black.
You're sad.
What would you sad because
you're referring to yourself as a color.
African American. Yeah. What would you
literally? You're referring to yourself as black.
And what would you consider yourself?
Yeah. What would you say? He's talking about African American and black. People are not. You're not black. You're African American.
Man,
I didn't say none of that. I'm not.
Okay, you know what this is.
I don't know nothing.
Anton is not black, he's OJ, okay? And Queens, don't listen to him because y'all are Queens and he's terribly wrong. He's wrong.
No,
he's wrong, Queen. Get him.
He really wants a seat at that table.
Wait, I have a question.
Get him, Queens, get him.
Like, Jazz said, I'm really curious of what you would call yourself. Like, how do you American?
But wait,
Just
Sheena,
American?
to go back to what you were saying,
He's
it
wrong.
wasn't a matter of
Get him.
he really wants people. You're saying we have to do what we do as a community to progress, and you understand that, Sheena. We haven't. No,
in a oneness type of way.
No, let me finish, please. Because you can't say we have it when we had a thriving community in Black Wall Street. When we had thriving communities in Georgia that were flooded out. We have tried, and every time that we did try, there was a roadblock. There was something there to tear us down. This is just a fact.
It aggravates me when people like to cite history, but they won't be specific. People say, "Oh, we had Black Wall Street." Well, what do you know about Black Wall Street? What happened? But two things can be right at the same time, just like two things can be wrong at the same time. She's right to a degree, but the fact of the matter is, most of the time, when any culture that is historically oppressed begins to gain ground, the oppressor finds a way to mitigate that success. This is common throughout history, right? You're dealing with we have a situation right now in the Middle East where Israel and Palestine are constantly fighting. I'm not educated enough to honestly to go into all the happenings of Israel and Palestine, or at least in this moment. I tend to be a person that does more research before I speak on a topic. But this isn't about me. I want you all to pay attention to something very specific. I got off track. I want you to pay attention to the interaction, right? The interaction of these 8 people on the screen. And I'm going to show you something that's a juxtaposition to those things. And I will get away from using college words because, again, I'm still just a little bit nervous. But let's get back to it.
the fact does not make you a victim. Every other person that has been mistreated by another group has had some type of reform or repair. Even slave owners were given reparations when slavery was ended. There was never any reparation or reform for people in this country that have endured the most hate the longest, and we contributed the most into this country. And just because we call it out and say, hey, you all need to assess this and give these people, just like you gave it to this group of people, that group of people.
All right, so the problem with this is, the idea is wrong. You know what I mean? Nobody owes you anything. As an individual, as a protected class, as a race, nobody owes you anything, right? One of the things that irritates me, and it irritates a lot of people in general, but I'll speak specifically to the Black people, is this idea of victimhood, right? You got to get out of the mindset that somebody owes you something, and constantly pointing towards the past as a reason as to why you should have it, right? If you can look to those things and constantly say you're owed something, that you're probably a person that makes quite a few excuses, right? For your behavior, for your lack of success, your inability to cope in certain situations. And Jazz is one of those people, right? It's just a really sad state of things when you can't hold yourself accountable to, to a standard, to a thing you don't have. And you want to blame others as to why you don't have it. It's just not a good look. So let's keep going.
You gave reform there. We are still in line looking for that reform. That doesn't mean that we're not going to do anything about ourselves. But what we need to do as Black people is get out of this individualistic mindset and just say, well, it's just me. Y'all over there, y'all doing this. No, we were able to make the strides that we were able to back when we were, because we understood the benefit.
Yeah, that's enough. But so check this out. Again, it's juxtaposition on behavior, right? Check it out.
And like why that's a different
Okay.
why people should approach that differently in relationships.
Sure. How many kids do you have?
2.
Okay. And they're in elementary school, or are they high schoolers?
Yep.
Or
Elementary and middle.
okay. And they came from a marriage, or?
Yep.
So pay attention, right? The energy is just different. Usually these podcasts or Red Pill podcasts or Red Pill adjacent podcasts have a core topic, and typically that's the dichotomy between men and women, and the kind of women men should date and what women should be doing and things of that nature. But I just want to point out something very simple, and that is just the energy that's coming off of this conversation, right? It's a much more measured conversation. People say, well, Jason, that's just kind of how we are. No, that is not how we are. That is how ignorance represents itself, right? If you pay attention to the last panel, the people that had the most sense tend to be the most measured, quiet. They're listening, right? And I know that's probably just a hook to get silly people like me to pay attention, but it is something that I noticed, and I noticed it very, very heavily in our community. So I'm gonna let this ride for a little bit. I'm gonna let you guys see it. I'm gonna take a moment.
Same father?
Nope.
So 2 different fathers.
Yep.
Okay. So I guess the question you're asking is, why is that a red flag, if I understood it correctly?
Yeah, why is that a red flag? And then why is it okay for you? Like, do you look at yourself the same way that you look at it as a single mother if you're a single father?
No. Do you see men and women as the same? Do you see men and women as equal?
In some ways.
Let's start with that. So in what ways do you see men and women as different?
I think that they should bring the same things to the table,
And the truth of the matter is that you're going to have 2 baby daddy drama. You're going to be dealing with that. And